Oh, Teach. Teach, Teach. You are one clever son of a gun, let me tell you. And I will. You know why Teach is so clever? Because he's not. He's really not. I just realized this. If you just take a step back and look at all of the major events that Blackbeard has been part of in this story, there's a common thread between all of them. And you know what? You think that Blackbeard is maybe some, like secret genius or something. Like he's this brilliant schemer playing 4D chess, nay, 5D chess with everybody else all over the world. He's on like beyond even Vegapunk. He's like Kinemon levels of planning with these labyrinthine plots that circle back and forth and then they double back and then they go forward. It's like, he's a genius. No. It's none of that. It's really none of that. And there's proof that there's none of that. Blackbeard has been caught with his pants down on more than one occasion in this story, okay? You want to know how he's going about everything? How he's managed to get this far, really? Couple of things, but mainly it's this. He just waits for everybody else to, fight, get into giant wars, and, basically just wipe each other out. And then he just swoops in and just like, I'm just going to take this now. All right, bye. And then think about it. Think about it, okay? Like Whitebeard, okay? So he's like, all right, I'm going to join Whitebeard's ship and I'm just going to lay low and I'm going to wait for somebody else to find the devil fruit I've been looking for. And Thatch found it. And he's like, okay, I stab him a lot and I will take it and I will leave. Then, the whole situation at Marineford, he was like, all right, I'm not going to go and, kill Whitebeard myself. Not when he's at full strength, not when he has his whole crew around him. I'm going to orchestrate this thing where Whitebeard, not even really orchestrate, that wasn't part of the plan. Like, him capturing Ace, that was something that honestly could have went a different way. But it was like, oh, okay, Ace is here. All right, I'll beat him. And then I'll orchestrate my next plot. I'll wait for the Marines to just pound Whitebeard into the dirt and have him severely weakened like two magma holes. Like, Akainu blows off half of his face and boom, his chest is just a gaping magma injury. And it's like, oh, okay, now I could take him. And then he shows up and he shoots him down. Same thing kind of with Impel Down. He waits for chaos to be happening, and then he shows up, and then, he breaks everybody out of level 6. And, the situation with Hachinosu is probably the same thing. We don't know the whole story of how Blackbeard became the ruler of the Pirate Paradise. We know it involves the Rocky Port incident. Law was the mastermind behind that. Kobe was involved there. He saved a lot of civilians. That's what ended up him getting the title of hero. And we also know that Ochoku, Wang Ji, was based at Hachinosu before then. So it's very likely, in fact, very probable, going by Blackbeard's track record here, that what was happening was Law had some master plan involved with Hachinosu. Kobe showed up to stop it. Ochoku was there in the background fighting with everybody. And then after the whole Rocky Port incident was over, after the dust had settled, Blackbeard swept in and he's like, I'm taking this island for myself, Wang. And then maybe Wang was so, already defeated by Kobe and he was worn out from the battle that just occurred. It was easy for Blackbeard to wipe him out and take over Full-Aled Island. There you go, done. It keeps happening. He keeps doing this kind of shit, right? Now, every now and then there will be something that doesn't occur on his radar, something that just comes up out of nowhere, like an X factor, okay? So Ace showing up, hunting him down at Bonaro Island. Blackbeard was not expecting that. He was like, oh, okay, Ace is here now. Want to join my crew? And Ace is like, no, I don't. And then they start fighting. And, Blackbeard won that fight, but it could have went another way, maybe. Who knows, maybe if Ace played it a different way, maybe he would have been able to defeat Blackbeard there. Who can tell? But, that is Blackbeard's MO. That is how he does things. He's like, I'm not gonna get into a massive war with Kaido and Big Mom. I'll let the Straw Hats deal with that crap. Oh wait, Kaido and Big Mom are now both defeated? Now I make my move, in the aftermath of all of this, okay? It's like that is his plan. His plan is to make a plan after a major power in the world has been defeated, and then he just like weasels his way in and picks up all of the treasure, okay, as it were. All right, sometimes literal treasure, it's sometimes more metaphorical. Okay, so Blackbeard's ships are kind of scattered right now. He's kind of moving about the new world. He's making a big move here. Okay, this is what happened. It was almost like I could see Blackbeard at Hachinosu after they established themselves there. That was like about a year ago or so. That was during the time skip. After Rocky Port incident occurred, and Blackbeard's there at full ed. He's probably like, all right, we have a home base of operations, and all the crew are like, now what are we going to do, Commodore Teach or Admiral Teach? And then he's like, now we drink and we wait for the next scheme, all right? And it's almost like he was sitting around waiting for the younger generation, the other fellow members of the worst generation. They're going to move in, and they're going to start challenging the status quo. They're going to start challenging Kaido and Big Mom and Shanks and all the Yonko. And I bet you Blackbeard was sitting there in his big comfy chair and his recliner that he had in the throne room to Hachinosu, and he's like, you know what? Some of them might get lucky. You know, if enough of these squirts all band together and fight against a Yonko, they might actually succeed. But the thing is, Blackbeard knows that, like, even if they did succeed, that's going to leave a massive power gap in the world, okay? And he's going to take advantage of that. So I don't think Blackbeard anticipated it, like, exactly how Big Mom and Kaido were going to be defeated. But I wouldn't be surprised if he considered it as a possibility, especially with, like, Luffy being a really, you know, just, like, you don't know what he's going to do. So it's like, oh, okay, let's sit back and wait on this for a little bit and see what happens. And then as soon as a big shift in the tide occurs, he makes a move. Same thing with the Marines when they abolish the warlords. He's like, okay, they're abolishing the warlords. Well, let's strike while the iron is hot, mateys. Let's go to Amazon Lily and get ourselves the love fruit. And Blackbeard is like, finally, I could be attractive. And then, like, Laffitte or Augur is like, oh, you're attractive, Captain. Well, thank you, I appreciate it, but let's go get the fruit anyway. You know, all right, so, okay. But that's what he does. That is all Blackbeard is really doing here. He's really not some kind of, like, super... He's not Kinemon with this. Kinemon really set the standard in One Piece with master plans that are laid out, like, in this really convoluted way, sometimes years in advance. But he's not that, okay? He's not an idiot. Blackbeard's not an idiot or anything like that, although every now and then he does have lapses in judgment, like walking right into Magellan's Hydra. I will still bring that up to this day. Anyway, Blackbeard himself, as well as Burgess, Augur, and Doku, are at Winter Island. They just wrapped up their fight with Law's crew. That is happening concurrently with Egghead, I believe, because, you know, after the events of Wano, Law, Kid, and Luffy all go their separate ways, and so I would imagine around the same time Luffy landed at Egghead and is having the adventure there with the Vegapunks, same time Law landed at Winter Island, or Wiener Island, and is fighting and was subsequently defeated by Blackbeard. Now, thankfully, Beppo was there. Thank God Beppo was there. Beppo managed to grab Law, and they managed to escape, but the rest of the crew seems to be captured. Also, Pudding was also there. Pudding was captured from Totland. Once again, by the way, another thing where Blackbeard's waiting around, and he's just like, okay, I'm just going to bide my time here. He's patient, if anything. That's what's dangerous about Blackbeard. So he's sitting around, and he's like, oh, wait, Big Mom was defeated by Beiji and Luffy, and then she left Whole Cake Island to go to Wano. Let's go to Whole Cake, you know, and capture a member of the Third Eye tribe, so that way we can decipher poneglyphs now. Same thing over and over and over again. It's remarkable how many times Blackbeard gets away with this, you know? Anyway, so, you know, they're at Wiener Island right now, assuming they are still there. And we also have at Hachinosu, we saw the group that was there, Shiryu and Avala Pizarro and San Juan Wolf and Vasco Shot. They were all there, and as well as Kuzan, you know, former Admiral Aokiji. They just wrapped up their fight with Sword. Okay, so Garp got captured by Kuzan. They're on the island. They froze Garp, and meanwhile, Kobe and Helmeppo and Prince Cruz, they managed to all escape. Perona and Moria, they were still there, but they might have also gotten away, so we're not 100% sure about that. But I already made a video about that. Now, we have one more group, though. We have one more ship, Blackbeard's ship, arriving at Egghead. That's right. So, and Oda just throws that in, by the way, like last minute. Like, yeah, there's not enough shit going on in Egghead right now. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you got the Straw Hats there. You got all these Vegapunks. Okay, that's enough. Nope, now you have Cypher Pull Zero. It's like Kaku and Lucci and Stussy. By the way, Stussy's a clone. Also, she's on Vegapunk's side. It's like, all right, that's a little bit more to take in, but that's fine. Also, by the way, we're having the Marines show up. We're going to have Kizaru and this massive fleet, and Dahl and a bunch of these high-ranking vice admirals, as well as St. J. Garcia Saturn, one of the Gorosei. It's like, okay, wow, that's crazy. Well, certainly that's enough to go on with this big epic battle. No, no, no. Also, Blackbeard is there. It's like, oh my god, this Egghead incident better really deliver. I'm telling you what, I'm pumped for this shit. Okay, so the only two high-ranking members of Blackbeard's crew that are unaccounted for as of right now are Laffitte, the demon sheriff, and Katarina Devon, the crescent moon hunter, okay? Everybody else is either on Hachinosu or is at Wiener Island right now. Now, you can throw in Van Augur's Devil Fruit. That kind of throws a monkey wrench in all of this because he has the Warp Fruit, which is the teleportation ability. We still don't know the full capabilities of that ability. If you can just teleport anywhere you've previously been, is it like the Flying Raijin technique from Naruto? Is it like Nove's hide-and-seek ability from Hunter x Hunter? Can he just, like, if I've been there before, I can teleport myself or anybody I see to that location? Because if that's the case, they could have warped back to Hachinosu, you know, or if the warping is like anywhere that Augur can see, but he can see really far away because he's a sniper, so he's really good at that. So I'm not really sure, but you could factor that in. But I'm gonna put that off to the side for right now, and I'm going to say that no, it is Katarina Devon and Laffitte, the two members of the 10 Titanic Captains that we've yet to see yet, currently doing something in the story, that are arriving at Egghead. Okay, now a couple of other things to point out here. Blackbeard's crew, from what we know, doesn't really have a lot of other really strong officers outside of the 10 Titanic Captains. Setting up his base at Hachinosu really was just like, it was a beehive of pirates, and we saw that when Garp was attacking. It's just a never-ending wave after wave of pirates. They're coming out of the buildings, they're coming out of the ground, they're coming out of the trees, they're coming out of the rivers, you know, just popping out everywhere. There's pirates hiding in every little crevice. I imagine there's like a little underground section of Hachinosu as well, like an underground city, like an Attack on Titan or something like that. I'm sure that's the kind of case there, because this is where pirates have been hiding out for decades and decades. All right, maybe even before Rox's time, Hachinosu was there. Okay, so this is like the safe haven for outlaws. This is like the actual pirate island that like existed in our world back in the old days. Okay, so there's just wave after wave of pirates, but none of them are like particularly strong. It's just kind of like, it's like one of those scenarios where it's like, okay, how many chickens could you fight against? You know, if it was me against one chicken, I would be fine. Me against 10 chickens? Like, I should still be okay. I might get up a little bit, but I should be able to take care of 10 chickens. But eventually you're going to get to a number of chickens, an excess of chickens, that you just can't handle, right? Like, even if you have the strongest person in the world, like, okay, 10,000 chickens. I'm sorry, pick the strongest person in the world. They're not going to be able to face off against 10,000 chickens that are all pissed off and are all coming for your throat, okay? So, yeah. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like wave after wave, and that's what Blackbeard's got, all right? So I don't really think this is going to be a situation where, like, you know, the Marines arrive and then the Straw Hats are there and it's like the pacifistas are all marching and there's this big epic future war going on and Kizaru's firing off lasers and Sentomaru's like, charge! And then all the Vegapunks are, well, the ones that aren't dead yet, are they're helping out, and the Straw Hats are all fighting. Cypher Pole's there, Lucci's in his awakened leopard form, and Kaku's in his awakened giraffe, and they're all attacking and everything like that, and it's just insane. And then meanwhile, at that exact moment, right in the middle of all that chaos, boom, Katarina Devon and Laffitte show up, and they're like, we were here as well, charge, men! And then Blackbeard's crew comes out of the ship, and they start attacking. No. That is not the game plan that they've been up to up until now, and we know this, okay? In fact, we saw Blackbeard's ship arriving at Egghead right before we cut away from the Straw Hats for like 10 chapters. Chapter 1079 was when we saw Blackbeard's ship approaching the island, okay? Then we go away for 10 chapters, and now we cut back to see the Marine ships arrive at Egghead. What happened to Blackbeard's ship? I'm thinking, if these two are smart, if it is Laffitte and Katarina, which they are, they're abilities seem to be catered for infiltration, all right? Because you have Laffitte's nature of, like, he was managing to, he was able to sneak into Marijois. That is a huge deal. Like, that is a really, really big deal that Laffitte by himself was able to sneak into Marijois, into a meeting with the 7 warlords. Like, the Fleet Admiral was there, Osuru was there. No one noticed him until he showed up. And the dude was wearing tap dancing shoes while he did it. Okay, so that's a skill. He should be, if he can do that, if Laffitte can sneak his way into Marijois, into Castle Pangea, which is where I think that meeting took place, he could sneak in anywhere. Anywhere in the world he can get into. Seriously? Like, the Straw Hats might, like, maybe they'll deal with the Seraphim. Oh, yeah, the Seraphim, too. That's another faction in all this. Well, let's say the Straw Hats all deal with the Seraphim, and then they regroup in the control room in the lab, and they're, like, looking out, and they see all the Marines marching through the island, and the pacifistas are shooting lasers, and they're all sitting there like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? And, you know, they're like, oh, well, at least the Frontier Dome is still up, so we should still be okay. And then, boom, Laffitte just shows up behind them somehow. Like, he managed to sneak through the Frontier Dome. Like, if anybody could do it, I would give money on Laffitte, okay? But he has hypnosis abilities as well. He was able to hypnotize the Marines to open up the gates of justice. That's how they were even able to get to Marineford to begin with. So, yeah, he's able to do that kind of shit. And then you have Katarina Devon, who has the power of the dog fruit model Kitsune, the Inu no Mi model Kitsune. She could turn into a 9-tailed fox, and that has the ability, the added ability as a mythical zone to transform into other people. Now, we don't know the full realms of how that works, but I'm assuming it's the upgraded form of the Mane Mane no Mi. So whereas Mr. 2, Bon Clay, had to physically touch somebody in order to transform into them, maybe Katarina does not have that restriction. Maybe all she needs in order to transform is to just see somebody. It might not even have to be them in real life. It might just be a photo or a picture or something like that, a live stream or something, and then she's able to just transform into them, okay? Maybe it's like a toga thing from My Hero Academia. She needs some blood or something, and maybe it's something like that. I don't know. But she's able to transform into other people. We know she was able to transform into Absalom. Absalom was dead at that moment, so she's even able to transform into people that are killed, you know, so corpses. That's an interesting power, okay? Dude, could Katarina Devon transform into people that are dead? Could she transform into Ace? I mean, she can transform into people that are dead. We've already confirmed that with Absalom. But Absalom was on the island. He was alive, and then they killed him. So it's always possible Katarina could have taken some blood from him or, you know, seen his face or something like that. Like, even Mr. 2 might even be able to do that. I don't know if we've ever confirmed that with the Mane Mane no Mi. Could the Mane Mane no Mi... Okay, here's a good way to test that. Could Mr. 2 still transform into Cobra? Because Cobra's dead now, but he... you know, came in contact with Cobra's face at Alabasta, so maybe if he could still transform into Cobra, that kind of confirms right there that that's not the restriction. Even if you're dead, you can still transform, okay? But no, like, if that's the logic, though, could Katarina, if she saw a picture of Ace, transform into Ace or Whitebeard, or have had some of, like, Ace's blood or something like that? Maybe, who knows? We don't know how the whole mechanics of this function, okay? But that's infiltration. That's infiltration espionage to a T. That's how she does her shit, okay? So... the smart thing to do here, honestly, would be, like, if she does have to have some kind of, like, physical connection, like some piece of DNA, like a hair or blood, or have to come into physical contact with you, the smart thing to do would be lay low, wait until the fight is in the middle of all this chaos, and then, you know, jump in. And if, dude... Katarina Devon, if she could copy, like, Kizaru or any of the Straw Hats or the Seraphim or St. J. Garcia Saturn, one of the legit Gorosei that are here right now, that would be a huge boon to Blackbeard. If they had the ability, if Katarina Devon had the ability to just transform into one of the Gorosei, holy shit. Now, this was brought up in a question in a live stream I did earlier today, and the thing is with that, like, I don't think... Eam would be fooled by that. Like, if Katarina Devon transformed into a Gorosei, went back to Marijois and be like, I am St. J. Garcia Saturn. Hello, fellow Gorosei. Why, isn't it fantastic to be a Gorosei on this day? You know, I don't think the other Gorosei would fall for that, and I don't think that Eam would fall for that. But here's the kicker. They don't need to, because it is already an ironclad rule in the One Piece world that the Gorosei are effectively the heads of the world government. There are very, very, very few people in the world that are aware of Eam's existence. So when a Gorosei gives an order, you follow it. So it doesn't matter. Like, if Katarina Devon is able to like kill Saint J. Garcia Saturn, or if Saturn dies during this event at Egghead, maybe one of the Straw Hats take him out, or something like in the Crossfire, one of the Vegapunks kill him or something like that, whatever. If she is able to transform into him and then get off of Egghead, the damage that could be wrought from that alone without Saint J. Garcia Saturn ever even going back to Marie-Joie or going back to Seeim, the damage would be done, because one phone call from St. J. Garcia to the Marines could issue buster calls at will. It could have an entire Marine fleet ready to go. St. J. Garcia Saturn orders 10,000 Marines to mobilize and to attack Shanks. Okay, well, should we be doing that? One of the Gorosei ordered it. We have to do it. All Marines are attacking Shanks. We're doing this. Gorosei says to do it. We're doing it. That is literally how this works, okay? So, yeah, that's scary in and of itself, all right? Now, you also got all of the technological swag that is on Egghead Island, right? And that's part of the reason why kind of like the government is there as well. It's just like, okay, we're going to take out, Vegapunk and his satellites, but we don't want to damage all the tech, because that's not a good thing. We still need that, okay? And even the order that was given to the Cypher Pole to Lucci was like, like assassinate Vegapunk, but leave the tech, okay? We want to make sure that's undamaged, okay? So, I mean, meanwhile, while Katarina Devon is transforming into a member of the Gorosei, or maybe Kizaru or something, and doing all that, meanwhile, Laffitte could just be going around the battlefield just stealing stuff. He can get into wherever. He can get into a lab. It's whatever, okay? Now, with Laffitte, he does have a devil fruit. We do not know the name of it yet. In fact, I think his devil fruit is the only one out of all of the 10 Titanic Captains, and also Blackbeard as well, that we just don't know the name of, and we don't know the nature of it. So he's able to create, like, pigeon or, like, dove wings. So he's able to fly around, so you would assume it's a zone. However, with everything being like mythical zone as of late, that's probably what it is. I don't think he's going to just have like a regular pigeon zone, and that's going to be it. By the way, some people have brought up this interesting theory, and I don't think it's true, but it's a fun little theory that what if Laffitte was actually Hattori the entire time? So Lucci's pet pigeon that's always hanging out on his shoulder, what if that was Laffitte the whole time? And it doesn't work because after the events of Enies Lobby, so after Luffy had defeated Lucci and Hattori was there, and Hattori came down and was like with Lucci there and like did not leave his bedside the entire time. Like when Blue and O escaped, the Buster Call, they got all the Cypher Pole agents out of there using his door fruit. Hattori was with them. And meanwhile, while this is kind of going on, while Lucci is in a coma with Hattori right next to him, you then had Laffitte on Bonaro Island with Blackbeard fighting Ace. So it doesn't really link up unless Laffitte can clone himself, which, who knows. But I think it's more likely that it is a mythical zone, and it's like just a mythical angel zone, because that's not anything we've really seen so far in the story, okay? We've seen sun gods at this point, so why not have angels, right? And, we've talked about devil fruits for so long. Let's have angel fruits. Angel fruit cake. There it is, right? Okay. So, yeah, he could turn into, maybe he's like the actual seraphim, or an archangel, or a powers, or a principality, or all these different types of angels that exist in mythology and folklore and things like that, right? So, and that might actually lend to his ability to get into places. Like, if he can literally transform into a mythical angel, you could say he could turn into light, or he could phase through solid matter, or he can become invisible. Like, any of those things kind of really fits an angel in description. You're talking about a mythical, godly being at this point. You know what I mean? The idea that if somebody that has the power of the mythical angel fruit transforms into like an ethereal state, an intangible form, to like phase through solid matter to get inside of Castle Pangea, or to travel the whole Red Line, or to phase through the Frontier Dome, like that makes sense given that ability, and we've kind of seen him exhibit stuff like that up until now, right? It's just that it's really, really high spec for espionage. Now, Laffitte is a brutal guy. In fact, he puts the brutality in brutality, because that was kind of the whole reason he got kicked out of being he was a peace officer or a sheriff in the West Blue. And apparently because of his cruelty in that position, he was kicked out of the West. Like, he was exiled, kind of. He's just like, oh my god, this guy is the demon sheriff. Let's kick him out of here. And he was slapped with a bounty, and he eventually ended up joining Blackbeard's crew, right? So, yeah, he is dangerous. He can be very cruel, and I'm sure he is strong in his own right, but his ultimate abilities are hypnotism, as well as the ability of turning into the... Okay, even if he can't turn into an angel, because that is speculation, that's headcanon, at least he could still create wings. So he's able to fly, which flight alone is definitely going to be able to help you. Also, it might have been a thing where while he was in the West Blue, while he was a sheriff, he might have been hypnotizing other people to commit crimes for him. You know, might have been like a Charles Manson cult leader kind of situation. Like with Laffitte, you can kind of believe it. So like, meanwhile, while he's like the law-abiding cop, you know, walking through the streets and just like, hello there, Sheriff Laffitte. Ah, hello there, Baker Bob. How are you doing? Oh, I'm just bacon. Okay, that's lovely. Look into my eyes. You will go and rob the bank. I will go and rob the bank. And then, oh no, Baker Bob is robbing the bank. Whatever will we do? Sheriff Laffitte, help. He's like, I got this, citizen. All right, cool. Give me the money. Give me the money. So, you know, like it might have been something like that. He could do that. But he was also very cruel as well, like beating people apart, like in the middle of the street. Like that also happened. So, yeah, that's Laffitte. As for Katarina Devon, she's not much better. She is a serial killer that goes around and cuts off, beheads women that are more beautiful than her, and like uses them as trophies. So yeah, if we ever saw Katarina Devon's like room at Hachinosu, I don't think maybe Oda could show that. That might be a little bit too seinen. But just know that each of the 10 Titanic captains probably have their own quarters on Hachinosu where they live, you know, except for San Juan because he's really big, and I guess Avala Pizarro is the entire island. But, you know, they have a place. Shiryu has a place where he hangs up his sword and goes to bed every night, right? Katarina Devon has a room, and in that room there is probably a bunch of just beheaded women on the walls as trophies, and that's what she falls asleep to every night. Yeah. That's her situation, right? So, yeah, I think it's going to follow up the same thing. You know, the Straw Hats might not even realize they're there because the Blackbeard Pirates are not there at Egghead to make a big scene. They're not there to be like, we are the Blackbeard Pirates. We're making a big move at Egghead now. No, they're just there to see if they can get any cool shit after the battle is over, okay? After everybody's said and done and wounded, and it's like, or during the battle, they can kind of sneak around while there's chaos everywhere. They can get away with a bunch of like highly advanced technology. They can have the forms of Marine Admirals, or the Straw Hats, or a Gorosei even. Katarina Devon could copy Caribou. Katarina Devon could be Caribou right now. Oh my god, this is incredible. You know, it's insane, right? And that's what they're going to get away with, and like no one will even know they're there kind of situation. And then if anybody sees them, Laffitte could just hypnotize them like, you didn't see us at this island. We didn't see the Blackbeard Pirates at this island. Good. Now jump up and down and sing Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay, Mary had a little... You know, Laffitte would do that kind of stupid crap every now and then. He can hypnotize people, so it's like, yeah. But yeah, they're going to get away and then go back to Hachinosu, and then they'll show up right at the same time, like Blackbeard arrives back on the island. He's like, what the hell happened here? It's like, oh, Garp showed up with a bunch of Marines. We had to beat him down. We lost, like, a lot of guys. How did you guys do? He's like, well, we beat Law. He got away. We didn't get his fruit, but, we got a cool submarine, I guess, and a bunch of his crewmates. That's cool. I don't know if Blackbeard stole Law's poneglyphs. I think Law could have used his op fruit to, like, hide the poneglyphs in him. That would have been cool. Or Beppo. You know, one of them could have hid them. But who knows? Maybe they might have gotten away with them. Maybe Law did lose the poneglyphs. So Blackbeard comes back with those things. That's important. Also, they have pudding with them, too. And then you have Laffitte and Katarina Devon meet back up, and they're like, oh, how did you guys do? It's like, oh, well, Katarina managed to copy the form of the Gorosei, and also we have a bunch of, you know, technology from Vegapunk. It's like, all right, just bring in all those fancy laser guns and laser bazookas into the island. We'll figure out how they work later, you know. And so Blackbeard, at the end of all of this, at the end of the Egghead arc, when it's finally concluded, he's gonna be like, he's gonna have a lot of stuff. He's gonna have pudding, as well as maybe some poneglyph etchings, as well as Vegapunk technology and the form of a Gorosei. He's gonna have some serious boons from all this. You know what I mean? Hells yeah. Well, anyway, that was the video. Just wanted to bring that up because that's one more in all this that's really complicated and everything, but we'll see where that pans out. So thanks for watching, everybody, and now let's end it out with some whale facts. Yeah. All right, so today we're going to be talking about orcas, or killer whales, Free Willy, as it were. So, are dolphins whales? Are killer whales whales? Or are they dolphins? Or are they orcas? So, killer whales are orcas. That's just another name for them. Orca, killer whale, same difference. And they are part of a group of toothed whales that also includes porpoises and like beluga whales. Okay, sperm whales are even in this group as well. So from what I understand from this, whales and dolphins are the same thing, or it might be one of those things where like whales is like the superior order and then dolphins are below them. It's kind of like all wasps are hornets, but not all hornets are wasps, something like that, or maybe that's flipped. It's kind of like all dolphins are whales, but not all whales are dolphins. It might be a situation kind of like that from what I understand. Anyway, orcas are terrifying, all right? They can swim up to 34 miles per hour. They can be up to 32 feet long, the length of a freaking school bus. That's almost 10 meters. And this is the thing that blew my mind. I had to triple check this, okay? The weight of an orca, the weight, how much one of these whales weigh, okay? Because, like, you know, blue whales are, like, the biggest, you know, animal to, like, ever exist. So, like, you expect them to weigh a shitload, right? But it's like, yeah, orcas are big. They're whales. They're killer whales. They're big. They weigh upwards of 6,600 kilograms on average. That's over 14,000 pounds. I had to double check that because I'm writing that down like 14,000 pounds. That's like 7 tons. I'm like, does that sound right? And I checked, and that's not even the most they've ever weighed. The world record orca weighs over 22,000 pounds. And they can swim like 34 miles per hour, which is fast, man. 34 miles an hour, like that's impressive, okay? Not only that, but they're like murder machines in the ocean. They eat sharks. They eat other whales, other dolphins, seals. You see, there's a reason they're called killer whales. You think that was just like, oh, killer whale, such an endearing term. No. No, they will also break off into like little groups, like gangs, and they'll like pick a specific kind of prey and just go after them. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a situation where you'll have like one of these like gangs of whales. I'm you know, gang orca from My Hero Academia. It's like, there you go. So they get together and they're like, hey, what kind of, what are we going after tonight? And it's like, hey, how about that group of seals over there? They were looking at us funny. It's like, okay. And so you'll have one group of whales that'll go after only seals. And then you'll have another group that'll only go after sharks. Okay, that's when it gets serious. It's just like a group of killer whales that specify, like, that's like being a ranger in D&D. You have like a preferred enemy, like a preferred foe, like you just know this foe better than any other foe, and it's just like group of whales together, like sharks. That's who we kill. Whales and killer whales and sharks, you know? Holy crap. They're dangerous. You better sleep with one eye open. In fact, they do. They do sleep with one eye open. They have to have like half their brain active because they have to like literally regulate their breathing, not like us because they're underwater, they still have to breathe air every now and then. So it's like they'll have half their brain shut off to sleep and the other half will be like keeping one eye open. So yeah, they're pretty damn scary. Cool to watch from a distance, but like you're up against one of those things, they will murder the crap out of you. Okay. That was our killer whales. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tech Inc. signing out. Laters.